This is Angus Howell, and I'm listening to Radio Rewind with Dylan out in New South Wales, Australia.
Party934.
He was raised in the land down under, a legendary figure about to encounter a world more treacherous than any he has ever known.
G'day.
Hoi. Hi.
This is Angus Howell, all the way out in Sydney, Australia.
Thank God you're here. Grandma's been raped.
This hour, I'll be hanging out with DylanD on Radio Rewind.
Radio Rewind.
You've got thighs like an elephant and you've got a face like a bloody horse. Who's going to want to pay to see you on stage? Who?
Party934.
Let's have the best night of our lives. Press play, please. It's not that hard.
Here we go.
We'll have Angus Howell on the show tonight, who will be joining us live from his home out in New South Wales, Australia. We'll talk about the differences between America and Australia, and maybe even help you plan your next trip down under. My name is DylanD, and this show right here gives me an opportunity to introduce you to some of my close friends. Some of them are famous, and some of them I just find completely fascinating. One of those such people is a guy named Angus Howell. So I invited him to come on the show tonight so you can meet him too. So where exactly do you live in Australia?
I'm in New South Wales, Australia. I'm about an hour and a half from Sydney.
Very cool. I have a cousin that actually lives in Australia. I haven't seen her since she moved away, but she apparently loves it there.
Yes, it's a really, really nice country. I travelled around Australia back in 2012 for 8 months, and I saw a lot of different parts of Australia, and through Queensland and Northern Territory in Western Australia, which is all the top part of Australia.
So now you started listening to Radio Rewind because you saw an ad on Vine. Tell me about your Vine videos, because you're funny.
Thank you. Well, I pretty much started Vine back in June 2013, so this was last year when I first joined, and my sister Gabby told me about Vine, and she actually did a Vine post with me, and she taught me how to use it and stuff, and then I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. So I installed it. My first post that I ever did was me making silly, stupid faces, and then I pretty much did some loops with some songs one time that I got from my playlist on my computer, and then I just started to just randomly dance through to those songs that I had on my playlist on my iTunes. So that's probably what I've got like a lot of followers at the moment, and I met so many people like from overseas and all that for the first time, and just basically started to chat with them and stuff, and we became really good friends.
Isn't that the greatest thing about Vine, is how you can be connected to people all around the world just by a simple video, a 6-second video.
I know, totally, and it's such an interesting app.
Definitely. More with Angus Howell coming up live from Australia. And our special guest tonight is Angus Howell, live from his home in New South Wales, Australia. I met Angus on the Vine app, where he replied to one of my promo ads and asked me to do a shout out to him on the air, which I did. Now that you've heard a few episodes of Radio Rewind, what do you think of the show so far? And I totally won't be mad if you lie to me.
Nah, I enjoyed it. I was shocked when you said my name. I was like, oh my God, he said it. And I was like flipping out, acting crazy, and just got really excited. And then I was like, you know what, this radio station's really cool. I really like Party934. I mean, like, at least there's no ads, and it's just perfect. You can hear all your music, and it's just awesome. I don't know much about America. I've seen parts of California and all that on TV. I've never been overseas myself, but I would like to see what America's like.
See, how you feel about America is exactly how I feel about Australia. I love Australia. Chris Lilly is by far my favorite actor, but I've never been to Australia. I've only seen it through television and through movies. It's always been a place I've wanted to visit.
Australia has got a lot to offer. The Sydney Opera House, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, that's a big landmark icon that we've got here. We've got Ayers Rock in the Northern Territory, it's another big land destination mark. And Broome and Cable Beach, which is in Western Australia, which is on the other side of New South Wales. That's a really nice beach, and they have a nice sunset, and you can do camel riding and all that stuff.
Did you say camel riding into the sunset?
Yeah, on a beach.
Like a camel with 2 humps, and then it spits at you and...
Yeah.
Hey honey, You want to take a romantic camelback ride on the beach?
Pretty much. But I have actually rode a camel when I was near Ayers Rock and that. I did ride a camel for like one round circle, and then I felt a bit like motion sickness because it was going up and down. Up
Right.
And down.
Like if I were to ride anything, I could see like, okay, an elephant makes sense. Of course, a horse makes sense.
Yes.
Maybe a unicorn if I could find one. But a camel, I just don't see it.
Well, people in Egypt ride camels too, so that's how they get by also. But yeah, it's very weird once you think about it. They didn't pick horses, no. They just want camels so people can pay and just enjoy and seize the moment on a sunset on a beach.
No, I get it. Camels are cheap labor. It's all good. Totally makes sense.
Yes.
They're like, we're not paying into that horses union. What's that all about? That's too expensive.
Definitely.
Do you ride kangaroos? Because I've seen that in the movies.
No, I don't ride any kangaroos.
We know you guys ride camels, but I was just thinking maybe the kangaroo might be another mode of transportation. Let's welcome back to the show Angus Howell, who's joining us live tonight from his home in New South Wales, Australia. So for those people listening tonight who've never been to Australia, what are some cool spots to see out there? You know, like other than camel riding on the beach.
Well, when you go to the Northern Territory, it's full on bush. You go out there and you have the open road, the country. You can see the billions and billions of stars at night. It is just an amazing thing to just experience and see.
So a lot of open sky, uninterrupted by big buildings and bright lights.
Yeah, well, like Sydney and all those capital states and all that. But if you really like the country and all that, I definitely recommend going to the Northern Territory. It's like they've got swimming holes there, they've got tours, they've got all a bunch of stuff. Darwin, which is the capital of the Northern Territory, is a really nice place too that I recommend people seeing. Darwin is really hot in wintertime and it's just perfect.
So who are some of your favorite music artists?
I like anything from the 90s, like S Club. That's a really popular band that I remember. Daft Punk, yeah. But I love 90s music. I mean, Savage Garden, S Club.
There literally is so many 90s bands that are so awesome.
And you know what? I like how that like your radio plays those sort of songs, because it brings all those songs back and like people can listen to it and go, wow, this is really, really great. Like stuff like that, you know?
Right, because everybody's so wrapped up in the new music that, you know, it's like enough already.
I set fire to the rain.
Oh, jeez.
Another couple of my other favorite artists are Savage Garden. It's an old 90s band.
Oh, I love them. I actually played their I Want You song a couple of weeks ago on the show.
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple. I've got the Animal song on my phone.
They're a great band. I actually interviewed Darren Hayes. This was, maybe 10 years ago. Really nice guy.
What? Oh, my goodness. You've actually spoken to the artist.
I have this thing for Australian accents, so literally I could just listen to people with Australian accents all day.
That's epic. Well, g'day.
Okay, so can I play a song for you?
Yay! I think a couple American people know Men at Work. Like Australian Down Under is one of their popular songs from the 80s.
No, it totally is. It's our special Australian show tonight, and I am joined once again by Angus Howell from his home in New South Wales, Australia. So lately I've been cutting out all of the unhealthy fast foods in preparation for summer, because summer doesn't like fat people, or so I've heard. So I've got food on the brain, which makes me curious about all the similar fast food restaurant places you might have out in Australia. Like, do you have Starbucks?
We don't have a Starbucks here in Australia, but we do have Krispy Kreme here, I think.
Do you guys have Del Taco?
No, not that I know of. I don't think we have that here.
I know you guys have McDonald's.
Yeah, we have McDonald's, we have Subway, we have Hungry Jack's.
Hungry Jack's, now what's that?
It's pretty much like McDonald's and all that, you know, with the chips and burgers.
Hungry Jack's could probably be compared to like Carl's Jr., which is weird because it's known as Carl's Jr. on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, people call it Hardee's. It's like basically the same thing as McDonald's, only different.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about TV. I'm addicted to anything the Australian comedian Chris Lilly does. I mean, Summer Heights High is by far one of my favorite TV shows on planet Earth. So are there any American shows that you like and watch out in Australia?
I like Modern Family. I've got 4 seasons of Modern Family.
Love that show. That is an awesome show. Are you having dental work done, or is that a weed whacker in the background?
I know. It's all crazy along here. I was like, should I close that sliding door? There we go.
I love it. It's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night here in Los Angeles, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday where you are.
Oh, yeah. It is.
No, it's exciting for me because you're like a future traveler. You're in Thursday already, and I'm still in Wednesday. I don't get it.
I know, and that's really, I can't believe America's still like a day behind us. It's crazy. We're in the future.
In more ways than you can imagine. Hey, during the last song, you were telling me a funny story about how your mom met the lead singer from the 80s group Midnight Oil.
My mum actually danced with Peter Garrett.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he could have probably been your dad. Imagine. You would be so famous.
I know, I would be. He's now a minister in environment or something like that now. He's a political person now. He doesn't sing anymore.
All right, I'm going to play Midnight Oil, Beds Are Burning, just for you.
Yes.
The almost son of Peter Garrett of Midnight Oil. Thanks for listening to our special Australian episode of Radio Rewind tonight. We've been hanging out with my friend Angus Howe live from his home in New South Wales, Australia. Okay, before we go tonight, you have to give me your best Steve Irwin impression.
All right, here we go. Crikey!
I gotta tell you, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm enamored with the whole country of Australia. One day, before I die, I will visit that place and pet a kangaroo and carry a koala and eat a shrimp on the Barbie.
That's awesome. That'll be epic. I reckon you should, Dylan.
All right. Consider it done.
Thank you so much for letting me come on your radio station. It was awesome.
You're very welcome. Angus Howell, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
No worries, DylanD. See you later, mate.
I want to thank our on-air guest, Angus Howell, for being part of this special Australian episode of Radio Rewind. You can check him out on Vine. Just search Angus Howell. Hey, join me again next.
This is Angus Howe, and I'm listening to Radio Rewind with Dylan out in New South Wales, Australia.
Party 934.